Peaceconferencing is a game-based simulation focused on world conflict and peace-building issues that was constructed over the years at the Bishop School in La Jolla, California, with the help of my students. We believe that Peaceconferencing offers a paradigm shift in education. It inspires students to think collaboratively, with collaboration being one of the most important skills for the 21st century. It stresses systems thinking. Students understand how their position interacts and is interrelated to a more complex whole, becoming cyclical problem solvers. It taps into an evolving gaming culture and social media, two platforms of choice for today's youth. And it merges technology with role play, really the closest thing to a real-world experience.
Peaceconferencing is currently a part of the curriculum of Kristen Druker's 9th grade modern history classes at the Bishop School. It is taught over an 8-week period covering the selection of a conflict to the generation of a peace agreement. What follows is a description of this game-changing learning process that the students go through to better understand their world and the history behind their selected conflict.
So welcome to Peaceconferencing, everyone. It's designed to bring you into the action. You are going to actually be involved in a simulated peace conference, and you will be deciding for yourselves which world conflict you would like to resolve. This will be both virtually and also face-to-face in your conflict teams. We have a lot set out for us, tackling some of the most serious problems in the world, and of course the ones that you would like to resolve. Are you ready to understand your world more?
Yes.
Okay, then we're going to make a difference, yes?
Yes.
Let's play the game. So, you have all had the research project of selecting 3 conflicts from all the world conflicts that you think are the most important. We've had Afghanistan, North Korea, Iran, and now this morning we're going to hear from the people who nominated the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Well, I think we should do the Palestinian-Israeli conflict because, well, basically the conflict's a border dispute between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And I think it's a really old and historical conflict, and I think it'd be really cool if we could resolve it.
I think it'd also be cool because even though it's such an old conflict and it's been going on for so long, there's still recent developments from the peace negotiations that are going on today, and it's being kept current, so it's still a pressing conflict, and I think we should resolve it.
We're now going to take the all-important vote. We have then the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, a great number of you on that one. All right, so can I announce it then? Are we in agreement that we will tackle the Iranian conflict and the Palestinian-Israeli? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
The Open Simulation Platform, or OSP, is the communication heart of Peaceconferencing. It provides online connectivity for each student on the negotiating team. It was created by the United States Institute of Peace and Ronald Cole of Sea Change Simulations. The OSP provides a private educational network for both student and teacher, much like Facebook provides a public social network. It allows students and teachers to work and communicate privately from their classroom, their home, or anywhere. As the students research their conflict, they can place into their simulation links, maps, videos, news articles, and other items for use by all team members. During all phases of the project, students communicate online with team members as part of their homework assignments. A student mediator directs the activity at the negotiation table and is the focal point for the OSP operation.
Well, hi everyone, we're back for day 2 in our peace conferencing, and if you guys look on our needs and fears introduction, I wrote you guys a nice little message there.
Wow.
And, so you guys filled out this chart for homework last night, and it really looks like you filled it out quite nicely. It's a good job. Would anyone like to talk about who they nominated? Let's start with Baroness Catherine Ashton from the EU.
Yeah, I put her on there, and I think she's definitely going to be a major player in this conflict resolution. I think her main goal is definitely to, create peace in the Middle East, and I think it'd be really good to have a neutral player there.
Last night for homework, you guys put in you selected your role that you'd like to be at the table. We don't have any conflict except for we got 2 people who want to be Hamas.
Oh, that's us.
Oh no.
So do you guys want to talk about why you want to be Hamas? And yeah,
Well,
we can't have 2 Hamases.
Yeah, that's true. I want to be Hamas because I've done a lot of research about the person, and it just seems really interesting to me, and I really want to take up that role. How about you?
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to shoot for, representing the Palestinians, and so, I mean, there is, Fatah. I think I could represent Fatah because, I mean, it is the Palestinian people, and so I think I could compromise.
So you're okay with being Mr. Boss?
Yeah, I'll be Mr. Boss.
All right, sounds good. So I think we have our positions for the table.
All right.
Nice job, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm going to be the mediator of this conflict. I'm really looking forward to trying to solve conflict peacefully, and I'm really looking forward to working with everyone at the table.
Hi, I'm Ismail Haniyeh, and I'm going to be representing Hamas at the table. And 3 needs that I think will be big players at the table is terrorism, borders, and security.
I'm Mr. Abbas from Fatah, and 3 needs that I think we need to talk about are borders, refugees, and the Israeli settlements in the West Bank.
I'm King Abdul II from Jordan, and 3 main needs that I want to focus on in the negotiations are the refugee problem, control of Jerusalem, and borders.
I am Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, and I think the 3 major issues of this conflict are borders, security, and Jerusalem.
Hi, my name is Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to be representing the United States in this conflict. And a couple of the issues that I'm looking to resolve are the fact that there's a huge threat of nuclear war in the Middle East if we don't solve this conflict peacefully, and we need to make sure that each side gets what it wants. And also, the United States needs to keep Israel as an ally so that we can get oil.
Hi, I'm Catherine Ashton, and I'm going to be representing the EU at the table, and I think that there are 3 main conflicts that we're going to need to solve. And I think they are Jerusalem, the Palestinian refugees, and borders. But I think by far the hardest one to solve is going to be Jerusalem.
Part of the peace conferencing process is training in conflict resolution through an e-training notebook. It teaches the skills of the diplomat, how to communicate best, how to do deep listening, how to be a problem solver, how to expand the pie, think out of the box, and always ask the question why. We are at a new stage of your training. This is so important in order to think about others and be in their shoes.
Today we're going to be discussing some basic skills that we need to have at the table. So the first thing we're going to do is the basic tenets page on the e-notebook. So we have this list here. Does anyone want to comment on which one they think is the most important?
I think recognition of more than one version of the story, recognition of different perspectives, key to understanding conflict and all its complexity, because really each side may have more than one perspective of the conflict, and until we figure out what those 2 sides of the conflict are, we'll never really get to the roots of the problem.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And so the next we're going to be doing our paradigm shift. And so we have this diagram. Does anyone want to talk about what this is?
Sure. What happens with the paradigm shift is that the 2 opposing parties will attack each other at first and not the problem. And but when the paradigm shift happens, they move from attacking each other to attacking the problem as a team.
Yeah, so definitely we need to be doing that. During our negotiations, we all need to be kind of like working together to solve the conflict peacefully. So next we're going to be doing the basic steps in a mediation session, and some of them are like welcome, set ground rules, be defining the problem, we're going to brainstorm solutions, identify workable solutions, draft an agreement. Does anyone else?
We have arrived out of weeks of preparation to the negotiation phase of peace conferencing. And we are ready to transcend from mild-mannered student to diplomat.
Hi everyone, we're back for our first day at the table right now. And so I'd like to just remind everyone that as we're going through the table and at our negotiations, we really need to be updating our articles on the World Press, still on our platform right now. And so before we start our negotiations, I'd just like to go over some of the rules that we're going to be having for our negotiation at the table. The first one is going to be that no more than one person talking at a time. The second one's no side conversations. That kind of ties into the first one. 3, let people express their own opinion freely and respect others' opinions. 4, keep the conversation equal and no degradation. Separate the person from the conflict. Number 5 is no interruptions. Number 6 is no need to rush. If we can always take a recess. And number 7 is practice our active listening skills. And now that we know who everyone is, I just like to go around and just tell your story from your point of view and what you would like to get from these negotiations. And I'd really like to make a point that there should be no interruptions throughout the course of these stories.
The main concern for the Palestinian people is to get a Palestinian state.
For the EU, I think our main goal is just going to be peace, but I think the overlying thing is that we want Palestinian refugees to have a home. We are the top donors for the Palestinian refugees. We send, health benefits over there. We build the camps over there, and I think that's a really important issue for us.
All right, so Israel's kind of finally realizing that this issue really needs to get resolved now more than ever. So we're making steps towards peace negotiations.
Another issue we think is important to solving this conflict is the border issue, whether we're going to have a two-state solution or some other type of one-state solution. And we really are advocating a two-state solution because we think that that's the only way that the conflict can be solved thoroughly.
With this negotiation process, Hamas would really like to solve this conflict, and if there's one main issue that we could choose to solve, it would be the border dispute, because that's a really big issue for Hamas.
So one of the major issues that the United States wants to solve is the fact that there's a threat of nuclear war if we don't resolve this conflict well, and if we don't give each side what it really needs and what it really wants. And we need to solve it not just a compromise, but we need to expand the pie and get each side a real resolution that works for them and also for the other side.
So last night for homework, we filled out this nice needs assessment chart, which is kind of a tool for organizing ourselves before we get to start our negotiations. So at the top here, as you guys can all see, we have all the parties listed along the top, and then we have the issues that they're going to be talking about in the left column. So as you go down, you can see that their point of view on all those issues. So we got our borders issue, our refugee issue, our control of Jerusalem issue, our Israeli settlements in the West Bank issue, power of the Palestinians, which means who they're controlling at the time, oil, water, and what are they going to do about violence. So you guys did a really good job filling this out last night, and I encourage you guys to keep filling it out so we can be kind of more organized before we start our negotiations. All right, guys, so for homework tonight, we're going to be filling out this brainstorm chart, and as you guys can all see, there's 3 sections. You have your party, your brainstorm needs, and your brainstorm solutions. So you're going to be filling out the chart from your perspective at the table. And so under the brainstorm needs, as you can see, there's stuff like borders and security. So if you, from your point of view, you want to be explaining what you would want as a solution to those problems. So hi everyone, we're back for our negotiations today, and as we're going into our negotiations, I'd like to remind everyone about our systems thinking approach. And the systems thinking approach kind of involves a few things. It involves realizing that we're all pieces of a pie and that we need to work towards this conflict together. We need to realize that we're all integrated and working towards this conflict for all of us to benefit. We need to expand the pie and ask questions like why so we can get good negotiations. And I'd just like to introduce Saeeb Erikat, who's going to be filling in today for Mr. Abbas from Fatah. So she's going to be representing Fatah today at the table. And so for homework last night, you guys filled out the Brainstorm 2 Needs and Solutions chart. And we came to consensus on what the main things that we want to solve at the table are, which are going to be borders, security, violence between the Palestinians and the Israelis, oil, water, and control of Jerusalem. So does anyone want to talk about what kind of solutions they put up for borders and why they made that solution? Mr. Netanyahu, would you like to talk about what you would like from the borders?
I believe that we need to do a two-state solution for the borders, and that's basically, I'm pretty sure Palestine is also wanting that. So that's probably the first main thing we need to get out of the way, is a two-state solution.
All right. You were talking, I know earlier there was an article about how the Palestinians wanting possibly a one-state solution. Is that kind of off the table now? Or?
Yeah, that would really favor the Palestinians though, and the Israelis probably wouldn't really like that.
Yeah. All right, so.
Yeah, I think it's important that we bring up the 1967 borders, because it's a good starting point.
Yeah, that seemed like a big starting point between, especially Obama made that statement that he wanted to start with the 1967 borders, and I think Netanyahu also is kind of going towards that idea, so I think that's really important to bring up at the table. Both states claim that they have right to the land of Jerusalem, and do you guys want to talk about what some of your solutions are and what you would be willing to agree to at the table?
Well, Israel wants Jerusalem to be a unified capital for Israel, but
So does Palestine.
yeah, both people, but Israel could consider giving up some of the eastern lands, because that is a highly populated Palestinian part of Jerusalem, some of the eastern Jerusalem, but still we want unified.
So here, I think the Palestinians want East Jerusalem as their capital, right?
Yeah.
And so, would you be willing to maybe give up East Jerusalem to be their capital, and you guys would be able to keep a more Western Jerusalem, so you can share the capital and have a kind of like a two-state capital between the two parties?
Maybe not a two-state capital, but possibly like a neutral capital.
Yeah, an independent city.
That'd be interesting.
So far, I think the negotiations are going really well because we're all agreeing and we're starting to get closer and closer to consensus.
I believe that the negotiation process so far is going very well. I believe that both sides are listening to each other's opinions of each conflict, and I believe that they are both taking in consideration each person's opinion.
But if it was independent, then both sides could have it, and there wouldn't be an issue as to who's controlling it.
All right.
I think the important thing is that no one controls Jerusalem. I think that the important thing is that both sides, have the ability to worship peacefully there. And I think having.
Hi everyone. So we're back for our negotiations today, and we're actually formalizing our peace proposal today, and this is phase 9. So I know the platform looks a little different today, so I'm gonna walk you through steps of what's different and what's changed about the platform. We still have our brainstorm 2 chart, which you guys filled out really well. You guys made all the possible solutions you guys wanted about the different categories. The things that are different now are we have this voting page, and you guys did this for homework last night. You guys filled out all of these, how you feel about different things, such as returning the 67 borders and demilitarizing Palestine. So you guys did a great job on that. The new thing we haven't gone over yet is the peace docs, that section of the website. So this peace docs, this whole section right here, it's going to explain to you how to get to the digital collections on the USIP.org website, and it's going to explain to you how to get to the digital collections and kind of look over the actual peace documents that have been implemented in our world, and so we can kind of get a sense of what we want to do with our peace doc and kind of see what format we want to do with ours.
So I'm really excited about how the peace doc is going. It's looking really good right now, and I really like the solutions that we came up with for each separate conflict. I was a little disappointed that, the Palestinian refugee conflict wasn't going to be resolved right at this moment, but I think that the decision that we made about postponing it till later after we've solved the other conflicts is a really good solution.
I'm really happy with the way we've been solving this conflict, and I'm really glad that there's been some good think out of the box solutions that have been proposed, and we've had a lot of smart ideas to solve the really difficult conflicts, especially the ones concerning the religious city of Jerusalem, and also the 67 borders. And I'm really glad that we have been working to solve this conflict.
I think we've gotten a great frame for our peace document down so far. But one thing I'd like us to improve on in the document is the accountability. I don't think we really have, a lot of people set out to do certain things. I think we just have the things that we're set out to do down, and so we need to plan who's going to do what to actually make this happen.
All right, so for homework last night, we kind of drafted a rough draft of the peace doc, and so as you guys are looking at it, we have our different solutions to the parts of the conflict that we want to solve, which are the Israeli settlements in the West Bank, the demilitarized border between the two states, the refugee problem in Jordan, Israel becoming a neutral city, and returning to the 67 borders. Now, the one thing we haven't put in this rough draft is the fact that I think we all have been talking about that we want to have some sort of council that's running the independent or the neutral city. And so that's the one part that we haven't gotten in here. Would anyone like to talk about what they would kind of like want to get from that?
We are going on now. We are getting to the wire, and everyone is about to plug in their resolutions into their peace doc or action plan. And that is the critical element of the finale of Peaceconferencing.
So before we delve more deeply into our final peace document, I really like to just congratulate you all. You guys have done a great job throughout the course of these peace negotiations, and I think you guys have came up with a really great solution to this really long and historical conflict. Now we're going to delve more deeply into this actual peace document. And so our articles that we're going to be discussing throughout the document were the Israeli settlements in the West Bank, the creation of a demilitarized strip of land in between Palestine and Israel, Palestinian refugees in Jordan, return to the pre-67 borders, and Jerusalem becoming a neutral city. You know, this whole peace negotiation process has really been a great learning experience for me. And while I think solving this conflict was a really great thing that we did, I think I can actually expand this into my real life, and I think I'm going to be able to use this when I'm older, whether it be what job I'm in or anything else along those lines. So I think it was a real learning experience for me, and I think I can apply this to my real life.
As a member of the simulation process, I learned that despite all the issues that everyone and that I was faced with, we can solve this conflict as a whole.
During this peace simulation conferencing, we had to write a position paper, and it really helped me get an in-depth understanding of the conflict.
From this simulation, I find it very cool how we can simulate a full peace conference and really have all sides represented in one of the most historical conflicts.
So this experience has taught me like so much in terms of just overall trust and just overcoming differences. I think in the beginning we started off just really having our own take on each issue, but I think by the end of this whole experience we actually came together and we figured out a way to resolve the conflict, and I think we learned to trust each other, and it's just been a really fun experience.
And also, I think that we could try to like show this to someone like Netanyahu or someone and see what they think. It's good. They could agree to this.
It'd be really cool if we could.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Actually show it to the people who are really making the decisions.
Yeah, definitely.
Right now, our Peaceconferencing outreach has been to 2 Southern California schools, the Grauer School in Encinitas, California, and their world history teacher, Kate Napier, and her students, and also Culver City High School in Culver City, California, where Jose Montero teaches Peaceconferencing to 30 juniors and seniors. In the past, Uganda students have come on the open simulation platform and actually critiqued the work of Bishop students. We have plans to actually have the Uganda students play on the same team with the Bishop students, and Bishop students play on Uganda teams. The future of Peaceconferencing, first and foremost, is the creation of its own website. As part of the website, there will be opportunities for student build-out through an online network of partnership schools and teams. This all adds up to greater cross-cultural problem solving, which will really enter in a new phase for the global classroom. Peaceconferencing is the way of the future. We are building the process and technology to facilitate it, and hope that young adults everywhere will have an opportunity to play it someday.
You know, been introduced to this new world of Peaceconferencing, and I think it's a definitely great thing, and I'll never view, you know, peace building and stuff like that in the same way again because of this.
It teaches us to really
look at other people's sides and see how their take on the situation, and not just our position and what we want, but what is the more humane thing to do.
We don't think the goal is to win, we think the goal is to bring it to a peaceful conclusion. And that's an important part. It's not a game in the sense that there's a winner and a loser, and that's just the overall goal of peace conferencing. There's just people coming together and seeing what they can get from each other, and seeing how they can work together to solve their problems and create peace.